So we have now made it to the very beginning of what this unit truly is about, solving an equation. You learned in 6th grade how to solve an equation. And most of you never went through and did the process or did the steps. You just looked at a problem and said, okay, I'll show you what we might have had. You might have had x plus 2 equals 5. And everybody would just write, oh, x equals 3. I'm done. Which, in reality, you're right. X does equals 3. But did you show any work? Did you show the justification how you got there? No. Because if you take a look at some of the problems we have now, it's not as easy to know off the top of your head. Take a look at number 3. What times -1 gives you 91? Do you know off the top of your head? No, you don't. Same thing down here. Do you know what times 4/9 gives you -8? No, you don't. So with this, the remainder of this chapter, each step and each work is actually a question. If you don't show it, you just got one question wrong. Here's what I mean. How do I solve an equation? Well, I take the inverse operation. Why am I doing that? Well, because my goal of any equation is to get the variable, and your variable is your letter, by itself. Every single time. So let's take a look at our first problem. I want this variable, which is m, to stay on this side by itself. What do I mean by side? Well, look at your equal sign. Okay, you need to treat your equal sign like a river. So, guess what you can do? You can draw it like this. To get to the other side of the river, you have to do the inverse. I also like to think of it as a mirror, because what you do on one side of it happens on the other side. So what we're going to look at right now is this 12. I want to bring this 12 to the other side. Why? Why 12? Well, what did we say we're trying to get by itself? I'm trying to get the variable m alone. So I want to move everything else. To move everything else, I do the inverse. Okay, so the inverse of addition is subtraction. So I subtract from both sides. What happens here, what a lot of you don't do in this step, in this work, 12 minus 12 is 0, but I still have this m that has to come down. So this is really what's happening. We don't ever show that work. And what that equals is 10 minus -12, which is -2. Now, in math, we don't write that. No one ever writes that. So really, the answer here is m equals -2. So this step here is something that even us teachers eliminate, and you can eliminate that. But what you must show me, this question, number 1, actually had 2. This here would be credit, and then this here is your other credit. So if all you did was tell me m equals -2, you just got another question wrong. So let's go look at our next problem. I've had so many students that need to draw this river. Can you draw the river? Of course. Because what this allows you to do is focus. Here's my variable. I want it to stay on the right. Meaning anything with it is going to come over. So I'm going to bring this -9. And I say -9, but most of you are sitting there saying, oh, it means subtraction. Negative means subtraction. Subtraction means negative. So to undo a subtraction, I add it to both sides. Okay? At this point now, these cancel each other out. I'm left with a g here equals -2 plus 9 is a +7. This would be what I want to see. Okay, here is one question. Here's a second. So you just got 2 points. Okay, that's what I'm looking for. So let's go to our next one. I think the river might help you stay organized because what am I getting alone? The y. Meaning I need this -7 to come over to this side. Well, what operation is happening between that 7 and that y? There's no plus and there's no subtraction. What this is saying is it's being multiplied. So -7 times y equals -91. To bring it over, the inverse of multiplication is division. And this right here, ladies and gentlemen, is how it needs to be written. You cannot use this division symbol anymore. We're not using that in our work. I then have y, okay? So on this left side, this ends up becoming a +1. So I'm left with y equals, if you have to, that is okay. You go do -91 divided by -7. Now the reason why I'm showing you this, do you always have a calculator with you? And the answer is no. I just had a student on a quiz say, oh, I left my calculator at home. So you need to know how to do this. So -7 goes into -9 once, -7 gives me 2. Bring down the 1, goes in 3 times. But a negative divided by a negative is a positive. Does everyone see how we're doing this? Okay, so let's go take a look at our next one. I have a divided by 9. How do I undo division? Multiplication. And this is how we are going to show it. No more times 9 or times 9. These are done. Okay? So what happens here is these cancel out. I'm left with an A equals -36. Okay? This is the work I want to see. This next section is not new, but a lot of us forget it. I want you to all look over here. To get rid of a fraction, I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal. Okay? So I'm looking here at number 5. The reciprocal of 2/3 is 3/2. So if I multiply that side, I multiply this side. And if you take a look at y, the 3 cancels with the 3, and then the 2 cancels with the 2. Does everyone see what we did? That leaves me with x. So really, I have 10 times 3/2, right? Well, I put 10 over 1. This, if you want to just multiply, that's fine. You get 30 divided by 2. What is 30 divided by 2? 15. I am not worried on this concept about your multiplication ability. You will be given a calculator. I want to see the steps. So let's go try our next one. We're almost done. Okay. I have 4/9. A reciprocal is when I flip it. I get 9 over 4. So then I multiply this by 9 over 4. The whole point of this was so that that cancels to leave us just with W. If you need to, go to your side, do a sidebar. -8 over 1 times 9 over 4. Well, you got a negative times a positive. So my answer is going to be negative. I'm going to write it so I don't forget the sign. Personally, I'm looking at this. I don't want to do 72 divided by 4. You have a calculator, you can. But I can simplify 8 and 4. I can divide them both by 4. So this becomes 1 and this becomes 2. So I really get negative 18 over 1, which is just negative 18. If you are freaking out about fractions, it is okay. I'm going to let you use a calculator and I will show you how to do that. We are almost done with this video. Let's go on to the next two. I have a negative. What I'm going to multiply by, when I do the reciprocal, it also has to be a negative because we want the negative to move with the fraction. So then I come over here and I do negative 5/6. So this is completely gone. All I have is a K. All right. Go to your side. 12 over 1 times negative 5/6. Personally, you could do this either way. 12 times 5 is 60, but it's a negative, divided by 6 to give you negative 10. Okay. Our last one. This one's actually a little easier, in my opinion, because its reciprocal ends up being negative 2 over 1. So I times it by negative 2 over 1. That leaves me with the variable m equals negative 9 over 1 times negative 2 over 1 is 18 over 1, which is just 18. So we just stepped through the work that you need to show. Right now, it might look a little sloppy, but that's why I would rather you do all this extra work somewhere else on a separate sheet of paper so that you can just show me the steps to solve. It is so important that you show the steps in a one-step equation in order to get credit.